What's up everybody, I'm Danny with the Neighbor's Kitchen and thanks for hanging out with me today. Today we are doing another sandwich bread. A few months ago I did a video on sandwich bread in a 3-part sandwich series, DIY from home, and since then I've learned a few tips and tricks that make for a much better finished product. I'm very excited to share those with you today alongside a brand new bread recipe that I love, and I think you're gonna love it too. So thank you so much for being here today. Let's get cooking. Okay, so this recipe is actually the Swiss Army knife of dough recipes for me. So save this video to your favorites because you can use this for all sorts of things, including buns and rolls and all sorts of different breads. It does make for a great sandwich bread. We're starting out by getting some warm water. You're going to need an instant read thermometer and a measuring cup. And we're just going to go over to the sink and grab some warm water. We're about 115. Fill it up to the 1 cup mark. That cooled it down a little bit. Into the stand mixer we go. Don't put this away. This is what's going to help us figure out when our bread is done in the oven. Next step, we need a tablespoon of white sugar. This is pure cane sugar. And 1 standard packet of active dry yeast. And if you're buying in bulk, a standard packet is 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. So with this method, we want to whisk it together. This starts the fermentation process off. Yeast needs basically the same things we do to survive. It needs food, water, and air. So its food is the sugar. We whisk together some air. It's going to come alive in that environment in 5 to 10 minutes when it blooms, and then we keep on going. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. I want to see what it looks like. See how it's all frothy? That means that the yeast has been activated and it is turning all those sugars into carbon dioxide, which is what we want. So now we're starting out here with our bread flour. And what I like to do is we're going to add just 1 single cup of flour. And then the rest of our dry ingredients, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and then our remaining wet ingredients, that being a tablespoon of olive oil. If you would like, you can substitute out olive oil at a 1-to-1 ratio for melted butter. So we're going to attach our bread hook. This is just 1 cup of flour currently, but all of the rest of our ingredients. And we're going to go on the lowest setting. We're going to let this get all nice and combined. Then we're going to add another cup. And then you might deduce that after that we're going to add the 3rd cup because the recipe calls for 3 cups of flour. Don't worry, I will type out this recipe so that it's not on a post-it note. So it is at this point that you may need a little extra water. And I do this intentionally. See how it's just not quite combining fully with that 3rd cup? We're going to give it just a tickle of water, okay? And we're going to see what happens. I'm going to give it 1 more click of speed. I think we're about to get there. What we are looking for and how you know when you've added enough water is everything on the bottom is going to get picked up into the dough. I think we're about there. Just got to be a little bit patient. Like we're gonna get there. So it's at this point, can you see the bottom? Everything's picked up, everything's incorporated. We're gonna go up to the next click. We're gonna need for 5-6 minutes. Just gonna let this do its thing. And we're off to the races. We're about halfway through. I just like to come in here at this point and get everything off of our dough hook. And this is not a sticky dough recipe, so you can kind of see the sides of the bowl are staying clean. But halfway through the kneading process, I just like to go ahead and make sure that it's the consistency I like, because it's not too late to add anything if you forgot something or need more of something. And here we're just going to go back. Oop. Give it another couple minutes and then we'll be done with the kneading process. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and scrape all of our material down to the bottom. And with a finger, yeah, you see how it bounces back and it's nice and soft and not sticky? That's what we're looking for. So I'm just going to go ahead. And I like to do just my last little bit with a hand knead. It's like driving a manual transmission. Makes you feel a little more connected to what you're doing. And see how this is not a sticky dough. I'm not even floured or greased my hands. And we're gonna go, you see how clean the bowl is? That's what I love about this recipe. I am gonna remove the dough hook to get it out of my way. And there we go. Just gonna give it a quick drip around the sides because this fella is about to rise. I like to rise it in the same bowl that we mixed in. And this is my cloth we've been using. We're going to cover it at room temperature for 60 to 90 minutes. It's going to about double in size. And then I'm going to show you how I form it into a log for our sandwich bread. We're going to bake it in a Lodge cast iron loaf tin. It's going to be wonderful. Okay, it's been about 90 minutes. And you want to see what we have here. Ta-da! There we go. We're still going to hold on to this clean rag. We need it once more. So I'm going to just set this over to the side for a moment. And this is one of the things that I have learned since I started my sandwich bread journey. We're going to shape it in a different manner than I used to. I've kind of come to realize that when it comes to breads, just stay away from your rolling pin. So you see how nice and easy this comes out? That's a really nice dry dough. And there we have it. This is our loaf tin. So we want to, with a lightly floured surface, we're just going to gently, instead of rolling all of the air out, this is how you get it nice and fluffy. We're going to stretch it without really squeezing it into a rectangle. That's about the short side, the length of whatever pan you're using. I really like my cast iron. And now we're going to just kind of fold it over. And we're going to seal it. And we're going to do the same with the ends. And we're going to squeeze it back out. Sorry, shape it back out to this length again. Once more. Once more. And on this one, I go a little bit longer, fold that down, fold this down, and we're going to close this off. And what we have just done versus the old way I showed you in the last video is there's no seams on the end. So when you roll it out and then you roll it up, I'll see if I can find it in the last video, but your finished product has those swirls in the heels. And I think this is just a way better way to do it. You see? Kind of see how that's going to work now? And we're just going to go ahead. This is already lightly greased. Hopefully that comes out in the camera. And in we go. I'm going to just try to get some of that material a little more even, but it's going to rise just fine. Back on with our clean towel for about an hour. It's going to rise. If you're looking for a metric so that you know when to stop, what we're looking for is we want the dough to rise above the pan about 1/2 inch, and then into the oven it goes, probably with 20 minutes to half an hour left. I'll go ahead and preheat my oven to 375 degrees, and we're going to bake our sandwich bread. This is going to be wonderful. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Okay, it's been about 50 minutes. My oven, I am sorry, I misspoke. You want to have your oven preheated to 350 degrees, not 375. I don't know if you guys can see here, but you will see my oven is actually set to 400 because my oven's about 50 degrees off. But here we are. Look at that. You can see it is protruding a little bit, about 1/2 inch or so. And I would say that this step is optional on sandwich bread just because we can only coat the very top of this. But we're going to do an egg wash today for good measure. It's going to help us get a nice golden brown top. And this is just a beaten egg that I left out at room temperature during the second rise with about a teaspoon of water in it. Just a super light coat. There we go. So here's your before shot. Preheated oven. Oh, for the record, you want your rack kind of in the middle. I know every oven is different. If you have one of those split ovens, you may have to go lower. This is going to rise a little bit more. So the closer this gets to the top, the higher risk you run of burning your top. So just be cognizant of that. I'm right here. We're going to go centered in the oven. There we go. I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes. Now I know that this takes about 30 to 35 minutes at 350, but at 20 minutes I'm going to set my eyes on it and make sure it's not overcooking or cooking too fast. If it is, if that top is getting too brown, we'll tent it with some foil, and if not, we'll just keep on cranking till about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And you want to leave your instant read thermometer out for easy access because, kind of just like barbecue, we know that this loaf of bread is complete when the middle of it is between 190 and 200 degrees. I literally look for 195. So, here we go. Okay, so we just hit the half-hour mark. Let's go ahead and take the temperature of this guy. I really like this thermometer. Because it is ambidextrous, the display will correct to be readable. So we're just going to go in. Look at that. And we're going to go in the middle. 180, 178. Okay. So we're not quite there yet. Give it about another 5 minutes. I'm looking for about 195. We're almost there. So, yeah. All right, there we have it, guys. So at 20 minutes, it was not browning too much. So not a whole lot to show you. If you do feel like yours is browning too much, what you do to tent it is you get a large piece of tin foil and you kind of make a barrier over your loaf. You don't want the tin foil touching the top of your bread. You're just making a little bit of a barrier so that it stops getting more brown than it needs to. So I checked mine at about 30 minutes again, and it was still not at 195, between 190 and 200. So I gave it another 5 minutes, and that at a total of 35 minutes, we were ready to take it out. I let it rest on a cooling rack for about an hour. I just sliced into it, cut off a couple pieces. Quick recommendation for you, don't slice it all at once. Go ahead and slice it as you need it. It will stay fresher longer. I've just been keeping mine in a gallon Ziploc bag, or a freezer bag, I guess is what you call them, with a piece of parchment in there to kind of soak up any extra moisture. That cuts down on your mold. But here we go. Let's go ahead and finish this video with a sandwich. So you see what I'm saying here? Those swirls aren't in there. This is quite an attractive heel. I'm still not going to eat it with my sandwich, but I will use it for something else later. I did a terrible job slicing these. I need to get a better bread knife. But I think we ought to go ahead and make a roast beef and turkey sandwich, and it's going to be awesome. What do you think of that? Huh? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. This has been so fun getting into breads, especially sandwich bread. It's my favorite lunch. Some of these things that I've learned along the way have really improved my sandwich bread game. I hope you try that at home. If you do, let me know in the comments below. If you don't mind, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'm going to bring you on all sorts of journeys with me and teach you what I learned, mostly the hard way. Make sure you check the description below for the recipe if you don't mind. If you want any of these tools that I use, check my affiliate links and use those if you don't mind. Appreciate you so much for being here. Until next time, be well.